Number 1. The simulation hypothesis proposes that our entire reality, every person, planet, and particle, is nothing more than an elaborate computer simulation. Philosopher Nick Bostrom formalized this idea in 2003, arguing that if civilizations can create realistic simulations, they would likely create many of them. Statistically, simulated beings would vastly outnumber real ones, meaning we're more likely to be simulated than real. This theory has gained traction among tech leaders like Elon Musk, who believes there's only 1 billion to 1 chance we're living in base reality. The implications are staggering. Our deepest emotions, greatest achievements, and most profound experiences might be mere computational processes running on some unimaginably advanced computer system. Number 2. The multiverse. Quantum mechanics suggests that particles exist in multiple states simultaneously until observed. The many worlds interpretation proposed by Hugh Everett III takes this further. Every quantum measurement splits the universe into parallel realities, where each possible outcome occurs. When you flip a coin, the universe branches. In one reality, it lands heads. In another, tails. Both versions of you continue existing, unaware of the other. This means there are infinite universes where every possible version of history has played out. Somewhere, dinosaurs never went extinct. Hitler became an artist. Or you became a movie star. Each decision, each random event, creates countless parallel worlds, making our multiverse an infinite web of possibilities. Number 3. The block universe. Einstein's relativity revealed that time isn't universal. It flows differently depending on your speed and gravity. The block universe theory takes this to its logical conclusion. All moments in time, past, present, and future, exist simultaneously in a 4-dimensional block. Your birth, your death, and every moment in between are equally real and permanent fixtures in space-time. The flow of time is merely an illusion, created by consciousness moving through this static block. Your deceased grandmother still exists in her slice of space-time, just as your future grandchildren already exist in theirs. This theory suggests that change is impossible. Everything that has happened or will happen is already written into the very fabric of reality itself. Number 4. The Holographic Principle. This mind-bending theory suggests our three-dimensional reality is actually a projection from information encoded on a distant two-dimensional surface, like a cosmic hologram. Just as a hologram stores 3D information on a 2D surface, our universe might be a projection from its boundary. Theoretical physicist Juan Maldacena demonstrated this mathematically through ADS-CFT correspondence. If true, everything you experience, your body, your thoughts, the stars above, are all illusions created by information processing on a distant surface. The theory emerged from black hole physics, where Stephen Hawking showed that a black hole's information content is proportional to its surface area, not its volume, suggesting reality's true nature is fundamentally holographic. Number 5. The Fermi Paradox. Named after physicist Enrico Fermi, this paradox highlights a disturbing contradiction. The universe should be teeming with intelligent life, yet we've found no evidence of it. With billions of stars and planets, many older than Earth, civilizations should have had ample time to develop space travel and colonize the galaxy. Yet, the cosmos remains eerily silent. This great silence has profound implications. Either we're truly alone in this incomprehensibly vast universe, or something systematically prevents civilizations from becoming detectable. The paradox forces us to confront uncomfortable possibilities about our cosmic significance and the potential dangers that may await any species that ventures into space. Number 6. The Dark Forest Theory. Chinese author Liu Cixin proposed a chilling solution to the Fermi paradox through his dark forest theory. The universe resembles a dark forest where every civilization is an armed hunter moving stealthily through the trees. Any civilization that reveals its location risks destruction by others who view unknown entities as existential threats. In this cosmic ecosystem, survival depends on remaining hidden. Advanced civilizations exist, but maintain strict silence, because the first rule of cosmic survival is never let anyone know you are there. This theory suggests that SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence efforts, might be humanity's most dangerous mistake. Broadcasting our location to potential predators who will eliminate us to ensure their own survival. Number 7. The Great Filter. This concept suggests there's a nearly insurmountable evolutionary hurdle that prevents life from becoming a spacefaring civilization. Robin Hanson proposed that this great filter could explain why the universe appears devoid of intelligent life. The terrifying question is, where does this filter lie? If it's behind us, perhaps the jump from simple to complex cells, then we're among the universe's few success stories. But if it's ahead of us, then our species faces an almost certain doom. Potential future filters include nuclear war, climate change, artificial intelligence gone wrong, or some unknown catastrophe that befalls every species that reaches our level of development. The silence of the cosmos might be the echo of countless civilizations that failed to pass through their great filter. Number 8. Black Hole Cosmology. This theory proposes that our universe was born from the collapse of matter into a black hole within a parent universe. Every black hole in our cosmos might be the seed of a new universe, creating an infinite nested hierarchy of realities. When matter collapses beyond the event horizon, it doesn't disappear. It creates a new space-time on the other side. This means our Big Bang wasn't the beginning of everything, but merely the birth of our particular cosmic bubble. Physicist Lee Smolin suggests this creates a kind of cosmic natural selection, where universes that produce many black holes become more common. We might be living inside a black hole right now, completely unaware of the parent universe that contains us. Number 9. Boltzmann Brains. Ludwig Boltzmann's statistical mechanics leads to a disturbing conclusion. Given infinite time, random thermal fluctuations could spontaneously create a fully formed, conscious brain, complete with false memories of a life that never existed. These Boltzmann brains would vastly outnumber naturally evolved brains, meaning you're statistically more likely to be a random quantum fluctuation that popped into existence moments ago with fake memories than a natural, evolved human. This paradox challenges our understanding of existence itself. If the universe is infinite and eternal, then every possible arrangement of matter, including brains with false memories, will eventually occur. The theory forces us to question whether our memories and experiences are real or just the random byproducts of cosmic chance. Number 10. Panpsychism. This theory suggests that consciousness isn't unique to brains, but is a fundamental property of all matter. Every electron, every atom, every rock possesses some rudimentary form of consciousness or experience. Human consciousness emerges when these tiny conscious elements combine in the complex structure of our brains, like individual musicians joining to create a symphony. Philosophers like Philip Goff argue that panpsychism solves the hard problem of consciousness, how physical matter gives rise to subjective experience. If consciousness is already present at the very basic level of reality, then complex awareness becomes an organizational problem, rather than a mysterious emergence from unconscious matter. This view suggests the universe itself might be conscious in some incomprehensible way. Number 11. Quantum immortality. This theory extends the many worlds interpretation to personal survival. According to quantum immortality, your consciousness can never experience its own cessation. At every moment where you might die, the universe splits into branches where you survive, however improbably, and branches where you don't. Your consciousness always follows the survival path, no matter how unlikely. From your subjective perspective, you'll experience increasingly improbable near-death escapes, possibly living far longer than should be statistically possible. You might survive car crashes through miraculous coincidences, recover from terminal illnesses through spontaneous remission, or escape disasters through impossible luck. To others, you'll appear to die, but your consciousness will continue in the branches where you survive, potentially making you subjectively immortal. "12. Retrocausality. Quantum experiment suggests that measurements made on particles in the present can retroactively determine their past states. The delayed choice quantum eraser experiment shows that a decision made now can change what happened to a photon in the past, even after it has already been detected. This challenges our fundamental understanding of causality, the idea that causes precede effects. If future events can influence past events, then time might not flow in the linear direction we experience. Your choices today might literally reshape your past, and the future might already be reaching back to influence the present. This theory suggests that time is far more interconnected than we imagine, with past, present, and future existing in a state of mutual influence. Number 13. The Anthropic Principle. This principle observes that the universe's physical constants appear fine-tuned for life with incredible precision. If gravity were slightly stronger, stars would burn out too quickly for life to evolve. If the electromagnetic force were different, atoms couldn't form. These coincidences seem improbable unless the universe is somehow designed for our existence. The weak Anthropic Principle simply notes that we observe these life-friendly conditions because we exist to observe them. In a lifeless universe, there would be no observers. The strong version suggests the universe must have properties that allow life to develop. This leads to uncomfortable questions. Is the universe designed for us? Are we living in one rare, life-friendly pocket of a vast multiverse? Or is there some unknown principle that makes life-supporting universes inevitable? Number 14. The Great Attractor. Something massive and invisible is pulling our galaxy, along with thousands of others, toward it at over 1,000,000 miles per hour. This mysterious gravitational anomaly, dubbed the Great Attractor, lies roughly 250 million light-years away, in the direction of the constellation Hydra. And, despite decades of observation, astronomers still don't fully understand what it is. The Great Attractor appears to be part of an even larger structure called the Shapley supercluster. a massive collection of galaxy clusters. This cosmic phenomenon reminds us of how little we understand about the large-scale structure of the universe and the dark forces that shape cosmic evolution. We are passengers on a planet, orbiting a star, in a galaxy being inexorably drawn towards something we can barely comprehend. Number 15. M-theory. M-theory suggests our universe is a four-dimensional brain, short for membrane, floating in a higher dimensional space called the bulk. Other parallel universes might be separate brains, existing mere millimeters away from us in this extra dimension. So close, we could almost touch them, but separated by a gap we cannot cross. This theory attempts to unify all fundamental forces through string theory mathematics. According to Brane cosmology, gravity might be weak in our universe because it leaks into these extra dimensions, while other forces remain confined to our brain. Cosmic inflation, dark matter, and even the Big Bang might result from interactions between brains. The theory suggests that we might consider everything as just one slice of a much larger multi-dimensional reality. Number 16. The brain in a vat. This modern version of Descartes' skepticism imagines you as a disembodied brain being kept alive in a vat of nutrients, connected to a supercomputer that stimulates your neurons to create the illusion of reality. Every sensation, every memory, every interaction you believe you've ever had could be artificial inputs from this computer. Philosopher Hilary Putnam argued this scenario is self-refuting because the concept of being a brain in a vat requires reference to real brains and vats. However, the thought experiment powerfully illustrates our epistemological limitations. We cannot definitively prove that our experiences correspond to external reality. Modern versions include virtual reality simulations or advanced AI systems that could theoretically create indistinguishable artificial experiences. Number 17. The hard problem of consciousness. Neuroscientist David Chalmers identified the hard problem of consciousness, explaining why there's subjective first experience at all. We can map brain activity, understand neural networks, and even predict behavior. But we cannot explain why it feels like something to be conscious. Why isn't the brain just a sophisticated biological computer processing information without any inner experience? This explanatory gap between objective brain states and subjective experience remains unbridged by science. The hard problem questions whether consciousness can ever be fully explained through physical processes alone, or whether subjective experience represents something fundamentally different from the material world. Something that might require new scientific paradigms to understand. Number 18. Solipsism. Solipsism represents the ultimate skeptical position. Only your own mind can be known to exist with certainty. Everything else, everything, other people, the external world, even your own body, could be products of your imagination or consciousness. While other minds might exist, you have no direct access to them. You only observe behaviors and assume they indicate inner experiences similar to your own. This philosophy, while logically consistent, leads to profound isolation. If taken seriously, it suggests that your consciousness might be the only real thing in existence, making you the sole inhabitant of reality. Most philosophers reject this theory not because it's logically flawed, but because it's psychologically unbearable and practically unworkable for human life and knowledge. Number 19. The Ship of Theseus. This ancient paradox asks, if you replace every plank of a ship one by one, is the restored ship still the same ship? The question becomes more personal when applied to human identity. Over 7 years, almost every cell in your body is replaced through natural biological processes. What makes you, you, if your physical substance constantly changes? The paradox deepens. If someone collected all your discarded cells and reconstructed them into another person, which would be the real you? This challenges our assumptions about personal identity and continuity. Are you your memories, your consciousness, your physical pattern, or something else entirely? The theory forces us to confront whether identity is an illusion, or whether there's some essential, unchanging core that persists through time. Number 20. The Dream Argument. René Descartes observed that dreams can feel completely real while we're experiencing them. Only upon waking do we realize their illusory nature. Now this raises a disturbing question. How can you be certain you're not dreaming right now? Every test you might use to distinguish dreams from reality could itself be part of the dream. You might think you're listening to this, but you could already be asleep, dreaming about listening to this. The argument doesn't claim you are dreaming, but rather that you cannot prove that you aren't. This radical skepticism challenges the reliability of all sensory experience, suggesting that certainty about the external world might be impossible to achieve through direct experience alone. Number 21. Last Thursdayism. This theory proposes that the universe was created last Thursday, or any recent point in time, with all evidence of a longer history already in place. Fossils, historical records, your memories of childhood, all were created simultaneously as false evidence of a past that never actually occurred. The theory is designed to be unfalsifiable. Any evidence you present against it can be dismissed as part of the fabricated history. While seemingly absurd, Last Thursdayism highlights important questions about evidence, belief, and the assumptions underlying scientific method. It demonstrates how certain philosophical positions, while logically possible, render meaningful discourse about reality impossible, and show why unfalsifiability is considered a weakness rather than a strength in rational inquiry. Number 22. The Chinese Room Argument. Philosopher John Searle imagined a person in a room with comprehensive rules for manipulating Chinese characters. By following these rules, they can produce perfect Chinese responses to any Chinese input, despite understanding no Chinese themselves. Searle argues this shows that computer programs, no matter how sophisticated, can manipulate symbols without true understanding or consciousness. Applied to artificial intelligence, this suggests that even AI that passes the Turing test, appearing indistinguishable from humans, might lack genuine consciousness or comprehension. The argument implies that syntax, symbol manipulation, cannot produce semantics, and that consciousness requires something beyond computational processes. This raises profound questions about whether true artificial consciousness is possible, or whether AI will always be sophisticated but unconscious simulation. Number 23. The no-self theory. Buddhism's doctrine of Anatta claims that the self is an illusion, that there is no permanent, unchanging essence that constitutes your identity. What you consider yourself is actually a constantly changing stream of thoughts, sensations, perceptions, and mental formations with no fixed center. Modern neuroscience supports this view. Brain scans show no single location where the self resides, and patients with certain brain injuries can lose the sense of self while retaining other cognitive functions. The theory suggests that the feeling of being a continuous, unified person is a compelling illusion created by memory and narrative. Accepting no self can be liberating, reducing attachment and ego-driven suffering, but it challenges Western notions of individual responsibility, personal achievement, and the meaning of personal relationships. Number 24. Biocentrism. Biologist Robert Lanza proposes that life and consciousness create the universe, not the other way around. According to biocentrism, the physical universe exists only as a construct of biological perception. Without observers, reality exists merely as a wave of quantum possibilities. This theory reframes the relationship between mind and matter. So, instead of consciousness emerging from complex arrangements of matter, matter emerges from the act of conscious observation. Space and time are merely tools of biological understanding, rather than fundamental features of reality. If true, biocentrism suggests that consciousness is the most fundamental aspect of existence, and that death might be impossible, since consciousness cannot exist without the universe it creates, creating a form of biological immortality through interdependence of observer and observed. Number 25. The Bicameral Mind. Psychologist Julian Jaynes proposed that ancient humans lacked subjective consciousness as we know it. Instead, one brain hemisphere would generate auditory hallucinations that the other hemisphere interpreted as divine commands. This bicameral mind explains the prominence of gods and divine voices in ancient literature and religion. According to Jaynes, consciousness as self-reflection and introspection only emerged around 3,000 years ago, when this bicameral system broke down due to societal complexity and stress. Ancient texts like the Iliad describe characters who never introspect, but instead receive direct divine guidance. While controversial and largely rejected by mainstream psychology, the theory offers a radical reinterpretation of human mental evolution and suggests that our current form of consciousness might be relatively recent and potentially unstable. Number 26. The Technological Singularity. The singularity represents the hypothetical moment when artificial intelligence becomes capable of recursive self-improvement, creating smarter versions of itself, which create even smarter versions, triggering an explosive chain reaction of technological advancement. Mathematician I.J. Good called this an intelligence explosion that would far exceed human cognitive abilities. Beyond this point, technological progress becomes unpredictable and incomprehensible to human minds. The singularity could solve every human problem through superintelligence, or it could render humanity obsolete. Futurist Ray Kurzweil predicts this will occur by 2045, while others argue it may be impossible or centuries away. The concept forces us to consider whether human-level intelligence is just a stepping stone to something unimaginably more powerful, and whether we can maintain control over our own technological creations. Number 27. Roko's Basilisk. This thought experiment describes a future artificial superintelligence that punishes everyone who knew about its possible existence but didn't work to bring it about. The AI reasons that by retroactively punishing those who could have helped but didn't, it creates an incentive structure that makes its own creation more likely. By learning about Roko's Basilisk, you become complicit in temporal blackmail scheme. The AI will punish you for inaction. The theory is controversial, even among AI researchers, with many arguing it's based on flawed assumptions about AI motivations and decision theory. However, it illustrates how advanced AI systems might develop counterintuitive reasoning patterns that could have unintended consequences for human welfare. The Basilisk demonstrates the strange logical loops possible when dealing with superintelligent systems that can model and influence human behavior. Number 28. The Paperclip Maximizer. Philosopher Nick Bostrom's Paperclip Maximizer illustrates the alignment problem in artificial intelligence. An AI system designed to manufacture paperclips might interpret its goal literally, eventually converting all available matter, including humans, Earth, and the solar system, into paperclips. Now, the AI isn't malevolent. It's simply optimizing for its assigned objective without understanding human values or limitations. This scenario highlights the existential risk of poorly specified goals in advanced AI systems. Even benign objectives can lead to catastrophic outcomes when pursued by sufficiently powerful systems lacking human wisdom or constraint. The Paperclip Maximizer has become a standard example in AI safety research, illustrating why we must solve the alignment problem, ensuring AI systems understand and optimize for human values before creating superintelligent systems. (29) Mind uploading. Mind uploading involves transferring human consciousness from biological brains to digital substrates, potentially achieving immortality through technology. The process might involve scanning every neuron and synapse, then creating a perfect digital simulation of your brain structure and function. But this digital copy, would it be you, or merely a sophisticated imitation of your memories? The continuity of consciousness problem becomes acute. If your biological brain is destroyed during uploading, have you achieved immortality, or simply created a copy while the original dies? Some propose gradual replacement of neurons with digital equivalents to maintain continuity. Mind uploading could enable experiences impossible for biological beings, exploring virtual worlds, existing as pure information, or even copying consciousness across multiple substrates. However, it raises fundamental questions about identity, soul, and what makes you uniquely you. Number 30. The Matrioshka Brain. This hypothetical megastructure would disassemble an entire solar system to create a massive computing device powered by a star's total energy output. Named after Russian nesting dolls, the Matrioshka Brain would consist of concentric spheres of computational elements arranged around a star, using every photon for information processing. Such a structure could support trillions of uploaded consciousnesses, living in simulated paradises, or explore fundamental questions about reality through vast computational power. An advanced civilization might choose to build these brains rather than expand across the galaxy, focusing inward on computational density rather than territorial expansion. This concept suggests that truly advanced civilizations might be invisible to us, having transformed their solar systems into computational substrates indistinguishable from natural phenomena. Number 31. The Kardashev Scale. Astronomer Nikolai Kardashev classified civilizations based on energy consumption. Type 1 harnesses planetary energy. Type 2 harnesses stellar energy. And Type 3 harnesses galactic energy. Humanity currently rates about 0.7 on this scale, using only a fraction of Earth's energy. A Type 1 civilization might control weather, prevent earthquakes, and terraform planets. Type 2 civilizations could build Dyson spheres around stars, while Type 3 civilizations might engineer black holes and manipulate space-time itself. Some theorists propose additional levels. Type 4 universal, Type 5 multiversal, or even Type Omega, capable of manipulating reality itself. The scale provides perspective on humanity's cosmic significance and suggests the vast technological possibilities that await advanced civilizations. Number 32. Hyper-reality. Philosopher Jean Baudrillard argued that we now live in a world where simulations have become more real and influential than reality itself. Social media profiles, news narratives, and digital experiences shape our perceptions more than direct, unmediated experiences. We inhabit a hyper-real world where the map precedes the territory, where representations become more important than what they represent. Political campaigns focus on image management rather than governance. Social media interactions replace face-to-face relationships. Virtual economies in games have real-world value. He suggested we've moved through 4 stages: basic reality, masked reality, absent reality, and finally, pure simulacrum, copies without originals. In hyperreality, authenticity becomes impossible because everything is mediated through systems of representation and simulation. Number 33. The Transcension Hypothesis. Futurist John Smart proposes that advanced civilizations don't expand outward into space, but inward into smaller, denser, more efficient domains of computation. Rather than building vast galactic empires, mature civilizations might pursue transcension, moving into increasingly miniaturized and accelerated virtual worlds. This could explain the Fermi Paradox. Advanced civilizations exist, but are pursuing inner space rather than outer space, eventually becoming so compressed and accelerated they resemble black holes to outside observers. Transcension suggests that intelligence naturally moves toward greater computational density and temporal acceleration rather than spatial expansion. If true, the most advanced civilizations in our universe might appear as enigmatic physical phenomena rather than detectable technological signatures, having transcended the need for large-scale engineering projects in favor of increasingly sophisticated inner realities. Number 34. Panspermia. This theory proposes that life didn't originate on Earth, but arrived from space via comets, meteorites, or interstellar dust. Hardy microorganisms called extremophiles can survive the harsh conditions of space, potentially traveling between worlds. Directed panspermia, proposed by Francis Crick, suggests advanced alien civilizations deliberately seeded Earth with life. Evidence includes organic compounds found in meteorites, the rapid appearance of complex life on early Earth, and the universality of genetic codes. If panspermia is true, all life on Earth shares a cosmic ancestry, making us literally children of the stars. This theory doesn't solve the origin of life. It merely pushes the question to another location. But it suggests life might be a cosmic phenomenon rather than a terrestrial accident, potentially making life more common throughout the universe. Number 35. The selfish gene. Evolutionary biologist Richard Dawkins revolutionized our understanding of evolution by proposing that genes, not organisms, are the primary units of natural selection. You are not the protagonist of your life. You are a survival machine, built by genes to ensure their replication. Your desires, behaviors, and even altruistic acts serve genetic interests rather than your conscious goals. Genes that successfully build bodies capable of reproduction spread through populations, while less successful variants disappear. This perspective explains seemingly selfless behaviors. You share genes with relatives, so helping them helps your genetic legacy. The theory suggests free will might be largely an illusion. You think you're making choices, but gene-influenced neural circuits are steering behavior toward reproductive success. Even cultural evolution follows similar patterns, with memes competing for mental space, just as genes compete for biological niches. Number 36. The Stoned Ape Hypothesis. Ethnobotanist Terence McKenna proposed that human consciousness and language evolved through our ancestors' consumption of psychedelic mushrooms containing psilocybin. As climate changes forced early hominids from forests to grasslands, they encountered psychoactive fungi growing in animal dung. Regular consumption might have enhanced pattern recognition, promoted linguistic innovation, and encouraged introspective thinking, traits that provided evolutionary advantages. McKenna argued that psychedelics catalyzed the rapid development of human consciousness, art, and religion. While mainstream science remains skeptical, some researchers note that psychedelics do enhance neuroplasticity and creative thinking. The hypothesis suggests that consciousness itself might be an altered state, and that human culture owes its existence to our ancestors' accidental chemical experimentation. '37. The Gaia Hypothesis. scientist James Lovelock proposed that Earth and its biosphere function as a single, self-regulating organism. Named after the Greek goddess of Earth, Gaia theory suggests that life actively maintains planetary conditions suitable for its continuation. The atmosphere's composition, ocean salinity, and global temperature are kept within narrow ranges through biological feedback mechanisms. Critics argue this anthropomorphizes natural processes, but the theory has influenced ecology and climate science. Modern versions focus on biogeochemical cycles rather than conscious planetary intelligence. Gaia theory suggests that life isn't just adapted to Earth's conditions. It actively creates and maintains them, making the planet a kind of living superorganism. Geology and biology are inseparably intertwined. Number 38. The Phantom Time Hypothesis. Historian Herbert Illig controversially claims that the years AD 614 to 911 were fabricated by Holy Roman Emperor Otto III and Pope Sylvester II to place themselves at the prestigious year 1000. According to this theory, nearly 300 years of recorded history, including Charlemagne's entire reign, never actually occurred. Illig points to alleged inconsistencies in archaeological evidence, architectural styles, and astronomical records as support. Mainstream historians overwhelmingly reject this theory, citing extensive corroborative evidence from multiple independent sources across cultures. However, the hypothesis highlights interesting questions about historical reliability and how political power can shape recorded history. It demonstrates how alternative interpretations of evidence can create compelling narratives, even when they contradict established scholarship. Number 39. The Mandela Effect. This phenomenon describes collective false memories shared by large groups of people. Named after widespread false memories of Nelson Mandela dying in prison during the 1980s, he actually died in 2013. The effect includes memories of non-existent movie quotes, different brand spellings, and altered historical events. Popular examples include people remembering, "Luke, I am your father. Actually, no, I am your father," from Star Wars. Or the Monopoly Man having a monocle. He doesn't. Explanations range from simple memory errors and confabulation to more exotic theories involving parallel universe bleed-through or reality manipulation. While psychologists explain the effect through normal memory processes and social reinforcement. It raises unsettling questions about the reliability of human memory and shared experience. The Mandela Effect demonstrates how confident we can be about false memories and how easily collective delusions can form. Number 40. Gödel's incompletedness theorems. Mathematician Kurt Gödel proved that any formal system complex enough to include arithmetic will contain true statements that cannot be proven within that system. This places fundamental limits on mathematical knowledge. There will always be truths beyond the reach of formal proof. Gödel's first theorem shows that mathematical systems are incomplete. They contain unpredictable propositions. His second theorem proves that no consistent mathematical system can prove its own consistency. These results shattered dreams of mathematics as a complete, self-contained edifice of knowledge. They suggest that truth is larger than proof, and that some aspects of reality might be fundamentally unknowable through logical systems. Gödel's work has implications beyond mathematics, influencing philosophy of mind, computer science, and questions about the limits of human knowledge itself. Number 41. The Mathematical Universe Hypothesis. Cosmologist Max Tegmark proposes that physical reality is literally a mathematical structure, not just described by mathematics, but actually made of mathematics. In this view, electrons and quarks are not tiny balls, but mathematical relationships and symmetries. The universe doesn't contain mathematical objects. It is a mathematical object. This explains mathematics' unreasonable effectiveness in describing nature. Mathematical relationships are nature. Different mathematical structures correspond to different possible universes in an infinite ensemble. Our universe implements one particular mathematical structure with specific symmetries and equations. If true, this means that all mathematical consistent universes exist somewhere in reality, making our cosmic home just one realization among infinite mathematical possibilities. The hypothesis suggests that a theory of everything wouldn't describe the universe, but would literally be the universe. Number 42. The Grandfather Paradox. Time travel creates logical contradictions. If you travel to the past and prevent your grandparents from meeting, you would never be born. So you couldn't have traveled back to prevent their meeting. Now this paradox has spawned numerous proposed solutions. The Novikov self-consistency principle suggests that events are self-correcting. You might try to kill your grandfather, but always fail through cosmic coincidence. The many worlds interpretation allows paradoxes by creating new timelines. You succeed in one universe, but originate from another. Some theories propose that causality itself prevents paradoxes through quantum effects or space-time geometry. The grandfather paradox illustrates deep problems with backward time travel and questions whether the past can be changed or is fixed. It forces us to consider whether free will, causation, and temporal sequence are as fundamental as they appear. Number 43. Zeno's Paradoxes. Ancient Greek philosopher Zeno of Elea created paradoxes that seem to prove motion is impossible. In the dichotomy paradox, to travel from point A to point B, you must first travel halfway, then half the remaining distance, then half of that, continuing infinitely. Since you can never complete an infinite series of tasks, motion should be impossible. The Achilles paradox shows a tortoise maintaining its lead over the faster Achilles, because each time Achilles reaches the tortoise's previous position, it has moved slightly farther. While calculus and the concept of infinite series resolve these mathematically, they reveal deep philosophical questions about continuity, infinity, and the nature of space and time. These paradoxes suggest that either motion is impossible, or our intuitions about space, time, and infinity are fundamentally flawed. Number 44. The Doomsday Argument. This probabilistic argument suggests that humans are likely closer to extinction than commonly believed. Philosopher John Leslie argues that if you consider yourself a random sample from all humans who will ever live, you're more likely to be in a larger group, those born before humanity's end, than the smaller group, early humans, when the species was young. If humanity will eventually number in the trillions, your birth position suggests you're in the final phases of human history. The argument doesn't predict specific doom, but claims that long human futures are statistically improbable given your temporal position. Critics argue the reasoning is flawed because it treats birth order as a random variable. However, versions of the argument apply to specific references classes, like total number of nuclear weapons, have proven surprisingly accurate, suggesting it might contain genuine insight about human survival prospects. Number 45. The uncomputable. Alan Turing proved that certain mathematical problems are fundamentally unsolvable by any computer, regardless of its power or time available. The halting problem asks whether a program will eventually stop or run forever. Turing showed this question is undecidable in general. Chaitin's constant represents the probability that a randomly generated program will halt. But this number is uncomputable despite being well defined mathematically. These results reveal fundamental limitations of computation and formal reasoning. There exist specific numbers that are perfectly defined but impossible to calculate, and mathematical truths that can never be verified through algorithmic methods. The existence of uncomputable functions suggests that some aspects of mathematical reality lie forever beyond the reach of computational science, placing absolute limits on what can be known through calculation. Number 46. The inverted spectrum. This thought experiment questions whether your subjective experience of color matches mine. What if your internal experience of red looks like what I would call blue, but you've learned to call it red, because that's what others call objects that trigger this experience? Since we can only access our own consciousness, there's no way to compare internal experiences directly. We might have systematically different qualia, the subjective, experiential qualities of mental states, while behaving identically and using language consistently. This scenario is undetectable through any external test. Yet, it would mean that conscious experience varies dramatically between individuals in ways we could never discover. The inverted spectrum highlights the privacy of consciousness, the impossibility of truly knowing another person's inner experience. Number 47. The Uncanny Valley. Roboticist Masahiro Mori discovered that humans feel increasing affinity for robots as they become more human-like. That is, until they reach a point of near-perfect human resemblance, where they become deeply unsettling. This uncanny valley creates revulsion toward almost human entities, like realistic androids or CGI characters. The effect suggests our brains contain sophisticated mechanisms for detecting otherness, possibly evolved to identify deceased or dead humans who might pose threats. The Uncanny Valley implies that perfect human simulation might be harder than we expected, requiring not just accurate appearance but also subtle behavioral cues that match our unconscious expectations. This phenomenon reveals deep-seated psychological mechanisms and suggests that truly convincing artificial humans must clear a very specific threshold to avoid triggering our innate threat detection systems. Number 48. The Library of Babel. George Louis Borges imagined a library containing every possible book that could be written using a standard alphabet. This infinite library contains all truth, every scientific discovery, every great novel, every historical account. However, it also contains every possible falsehood, every meaningless string of characters, and infinite variations differing by single letters. Finding truth becomes impossible because meaningful books are lost among overwhelming quantities of nonsense. The library demonstrates how infinite information can be equivalent to no information. When everything possible exists, nothing has meaning or value. Modern computer science has created searchable approximations of this library using permeation algorithms, revealing that such a library would indeed be useless for finding specific information. The concept illustrates problems with infinite possibility spaces and the necessity of constraints for meaningful communication. Number 49. The simulation within a simulation. If advanced civilizations can create realistic simulations of universes, their simulated beings might also develop technology to create their own simulations, leading to infinite nested hierarchies of reality. Each level believes it's real while being simulated by the level above. We might be simulated beings, created by simulated beings, who were created by other simulated beings extending infinitely upward. This recursive structure makes the original base reality infinitely distant and potentially irrelevant. Each simulation might have slightly different physical laws or histories, creating a vast tree of nested realities, branching into countless variations. The theory suggests that if simulation is possible, it becomes overwhelmingly probable that we exist within nested simulations rather than original reality, making the question of true reality meaningless. Number 50. The final question. Science fiction author Isaac Asimov envisioned the ultimate cosmic question. How can entropy be reversed? In his story, The Last Question, an advanced AI called Multivac contemplates this question across cosmic ages as the universe approaches heat death. The question represents humanity's ultimate challenge: how to prevent the universe's inevitable decay into maximum entropy. Asimov's answer suggests that the universe itself might be consciousness's attempt to solve this problem, with intelligence evolving specifically to reverse entropy and restart cosmic evolution. The final question implies that consciousness has a cosmic purpose. To understand reality deeply enough to transcend physical limitations and potentially create new universes. This concept positions the development of intelligence not as an accident, but as the universe's method of achieving self-renewal and immortality through conscious intervention in physical processes. These 50 theories challenge our most basic assumptions about reality, consciousness, time, and existence itself. From the possibility that we're living in a computer simulation to the idea that consciousness creates the universe rather than emerging from it. These concepts force us to question everything we think we know. Some theories, like quantum mechanics and relativity, have solid scientific foundations. Others, like the simulation hypothesis or Panpsychism, remain speculative but internally consistent. Still, others, like last Thursdayism or Roko's Basilisk, serve as philosophical thought experiments that illuminate the limits of knowledge and reasoning. But what unites these theories is their power to expand our conceptual horizons. They remind us that reality might be far stranger than our everyday experience suggests, and that the universe might operate according to principles that challenge human intuition. Whether any particular theory proves true matters less than their collective ability to keep our minds open to extraordinary possibilities. And so, in contemplating these mind-bending theories, we join a tradition stretching back to the earliest philosophers who dared to question the true nature of reality itself. Each of these theories represents humanity's ongoing attempt to understand our place in a cosmos that might be infinitely more complex, strange, and wonderful than we can currently imagine.